recording now.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of 1 Million Cups. My name is Nicholas Stamper, and I will be hosting today's presentation. Just to get you guys an overview of how today's session will go. First, I'm going to talk for a few minutes about 1 Million Cups Chico, its mission, and why it's really necessary for entrepreneurs to get involved in our community. The second thing will be the actual 6-minute presentation given to us by our special guests. And the third we will cover is Q&A from our audience. And shortly after, we'll wrap up. So with that being said, let's not waste time and let's get straight to it. 1 Million Cups was created by Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation. The purpose of this foundation works alongside with educators, researchers, and other partners to better understand and improve the environment in which entrepreneurs start and grow business. The Kauffman Foundation wants to increase as much opportunities so that it allows all people to learn, take risks, and work their ways to their own success. And they did that by creating 1 Million Cups. 1 Million Cups is a free weekly program to educate, engage, and connect local entrepreneurs. It's an environment where you get to be able to have different conversations with different entrepreneurs. So just imagine you being an entrepreneur, you owning your own business, and where you're struggling, you need some advice about your business. And now imagine having a conversation with family or close friends to talk about your success or failures with. They might say, okay, or that's good, or they might even envy you because of what you're trying to create. But being around a bunch of entrepreneurs, that's totally a different conversation. Whether it's seeking funding or trying to get started or trying to move into a new building, that's a way different conversation to have when you're around a bunch of people that essentially do the same thing you do right. So this 1 Million Cups is a place where you get to feel free to express your ideas and not be judged, but most importantly, bounce ideas off each other and borrow from each other's actual brilliance. The overall mission behind 1 Million Cups is to, again, not only lower the barrier of access to education and resources for all entrepreneurs, but to be surrounded by a community and an environment that helps you build your ideas and get feedback for your business. In the beginning, 1 Million Cups started off small in Kansas City. Then a year later, it grew to 2 communities. And then after, it grew to 23 communities in the year 2014. After years and years went by, in 2018, it grew into 163 communities, all spread throughout the United States. And that's just 3 years. So imagine how many more communities there are now. Moving forward, at each location, there are typically 2 presenters, sometimes 3 per week. However, today we have 1 presentation. He'll have 6 minutes to present and then 15 to 20 minutes of Q&A. If you want to know more about 1 Million Cups or how to present here, please feel free to join our amazing community online and visit our platform at www.1millioncups.com/Chico. All right. And furthermore, we have Robert Abbott with Guacamole Box today. Thank you.
Slides.
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Robert Abbott. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I will be presenting my business, Guacamole Box, here today for 1 Million Cups. Big thanks to 1 Million Cups for giving us a platform to share about our business. We may have one of my partners online. I'm not sure. I said I may zoom in. That'd be Walter. And then I've got Seth Harvey, who's my other partner here in person. So before I can explain what Guacamole Box is, first I have to explain and answer what is a remote virtual desktop provider. So bear with me for a minute here. So let's imagine we have a server, and on the diagram there in the bottom right, it's the gray box. And next, let's put a program onto that server called a hypervisor. And what that does is create computerized microenvironments on the server, which are represented by the white squares. And then it partitions network resources across those squares. So let's imagine our server is a set number of RAM, GPU, CPU, storage, and it gives a little bit of those resources to each of those boxes. Then inside one of those containers, we're going to put operating systems and applications, and this turns the container into what's called a virtual machine. So it becomes an environment to do work. Finally, we're going to add a remote virtual desktop provider. And what that is it's a connectivity provider which allows peripheral network resources, which are going to be called client machines, to access those centrally hosted virtual machines, such that someone on the periphery of the network can do remote work on a virtual machine on a central server. A great number of industries and types of work utilize remote virtual desktop providers. The kinds of work that takes place on a network like this is work in which information is very sensitive. Either it's legally fraught or it's protected business secrets. It's used in situations in which information needs to be maintained centrally, yet accessed on the periphery of a network for manipulation and use. It's used in situations in which remote workplace processes are common. And finally, in work environments in which the workstations must be standardized or curated by a central IT department. Industries that use remote virtual desktop providers include healthcare. At the hospital, all the computers where nurses and physicians are doing their charting, and all the computers where people do billing use remote virtual desktop providers. So they're out on the periphery of the network on the computer, and then they form a tunneled encrypted connection to the server to do work on a virtual machine. Other industry examples include legal work. The information is very sensitive, and you can't have people accessing and using the information on a non-encrypted cloud or putting it onto their personal PCs. Public terminals where transactions are made. Again, any work in which there's trade secrets and high-level encryption is needed. It can be used for the aggregation of cash register data, security camera data, inventory across franchises, and that information can be sent to a central corporate headquarters. So the books can be done centrally. And then finally, burgeoning use is consumer cloud-based virtual machines. So someone at home can go onto the cloud and then control a much more powerful computer than they have access to at home. So Guacamole Box is a platform. It is a remote virtual desktop provider, and it introduces never before seen functionality in the space. Our base product is Avo Basic. It's mandatory in all subscriptions of the platform. Its connectivity is web-based. It doesn't require any client-side scripts or installation. And the whole network installs with a single server-side shell script. What this means is that at a company, the IT department does not need to put a bunch of software in every single workstation or computer where people are accessing the network, but they can set up the whole network off a single script on the server. The connectivity is peer-to-peer. This greatly cuts down on hardware. All network traffic goes, it's routed peripherally, so you don't need the hardware to route every last little bit of data centrally. It provides a desktop at 60 frames per second. It has native mobile support, so it's fully implemented and supported on mobile devices. And it has over 15,000 bit encryption, which is 10 times higher than Citrix. It doesn't require any additional hardware, given its peer-to-peer nature. And embedded devices can function as clients. What that means is an embedded device is a very simple computer that lacks a hard drive, and that can actually use to access the network. So the client machines where people access the network can be very simple. The functionality is so high that it really promises to change the IT industry. The Avo Basic enabled network is very light. It's easy to put in place. It provides an extremely secure zero trust network environment, which means all data transactions are verified. And what this promises to do is to drop IT labor costs, because you don't need IT personnel to run around and put the script and the software in every single client machine. Because all network traffic is routed peripherally, it decreases data bottlenecks and it decreases hardware needs. So it does not take as much money to set up a network with Avo Basic as compared to our competitors. And then finally, because the client machines can be so simple, it cuts down on client hardware and electricity costs. So the Guacamole Box is really a platform, and Avo Basic is just the starting point. More advanced networks will need some of the add-ons that we provide. The first one being Avo Plus, and this turns an Avo Basic enabled network into a distributed network. And this, such that idle CPU, RAM, and GPU on the server or on the client machines themselves are donated to active network processes. And this is done in a peer-to-peer fashion. So none of those resources have to go through that central resource. If I'm on one client machine doing work, someone else's client machine can be donating its GPU, CPU, RAM to what I'm doing. Avo Cloud is our next add-on, and this provides access to the Avo Cloud storefront. It's a marketplace behind a paywall on our website where cloud resources can be licensed, and this includes RAM, CPU, storage, hopefully in the future, GPU, as well as virtual machines, operating systems, and even software bundles. We offer Microsoft Suite as well as the Adobe Suite. So a business who was starting up and they needed virtual machines, they could come to us and we could actually provide those. We have proprietary resource sharing technology, which actually promises to allow us to offer these resources at a cheaper price than Azure or Amazon Web Services. The next upgrade is Avo Stream. This allows video to pass through encrypted tunnels. And we have record-setting frame rates of 60 frames per second. Our chief competitors, VMware and Citrix, cannot pass video at all. And then finally, we have Avo Hub, which is integrated productivity software. It combines video conferencing chat with a dedicated remote desktop provider. It launches with a single click. What's very neat about this is the video conferencing is peer-to-peer. The video streams don't have to go through the central server. They go between whoever is on the video conferencing. And this promises a vastly lower hardware needs versus Zoom, for example. We have a standalone version that is pending acceptance and publication to the Google Workspace Marketplace. As far as I'm concerned, I think Zoom's goose is going to be cooked once that's up, so it's going to be very inexpensive. So looking at how we stack up against the competition, I have a chart comparing us with Citrix and VMware. Citrix and VMware, they have to install installation on the client machines. They have additional hardware needs. It's not peer-to-peer. It doesn't have native mobile support, and it certainly can't pass video streams. So Guacamole Box is much more sophisticated than the competition. The licensing starts at $10 per client connection per month. Compare that to Citrix, going to be about $37 per client connection per month for something even comparable. A cost analysis has been published to our blog, which shows cost savings approaching 80% for large enterprises using Citrix. So let's look at our story. Our company started with two directors, Seth Harvey here and I. About 6 years ago, we initially sought to start a combined seed incubator and hackerspace in Butte County. We saw it as an unfilled need. We found an angel investor with a PhD in cloud computing. During the pandemic, our original business plan was no longer viable. It was scuttled. We were looking at the nature of remote work at the time. It's increasing prominence of the virtualized workplace. And we saw a big opportunity here. And we made a full pivot to Guacamole Box, which is really a product of innovation that was born out of the lockdown era. Our company is presently an LLC. We're at the launch phase. We have a fully developed product line, totally functional, a digital marketplace that is operational. We're ready to make sales. Licensing contracts, legal analyses have been completed. We've avoided debt, forfeiture of equity, and our attention is now fully focused on marketing Guacamole Box. We are pursuing content-based marketing. This has been active for about a couple months now. We've got about 4 blogs now, and we're filming a video series. We haven't published it yet, but we've got a good chunk of that filmed and edited, and we're just getting to the point where we can render it all and put it up on the internet. And we'll be putting that across LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We have one tech influencer who's agreed to review the product. Another one is in the wings, so to speak. We've reached out to local IT groups without a lot of success. I'm still hoping to close a deal there. We have in-person demos that we have to share with them. We have an online one-click, no-download demo. We'll show that at the end, and that's there at guacamolebox.net/demo. We are facing a few hurdles, and they're really centered around perceptions of what is a nascent and growing company. The first of these is that I think there's a perception that it's too good to be true. The functionality far surpasses the competitors. We're coming out of left field. Where'd you guys come from? Is this really all possible? To address this, our goal is to film vlogs showing use cases, so actually show the product in action, demonstrating that it works. We have our demo, which is actually very sophisticated. It's a feat in itself. And once we can close any licensing deals, we'd like to produce white papers and blogs detailing companies that have made a successful transition away from one of our competitors to Guacamole Box. The next perception is that it could be a scam. We actually had industry feedback that the website looks Chinese, someone else's words. And our goal there is to use a tutorial blog to promote the image of a domestic company. So we filmed a number of videos where I'm basically there in a 3-piece suit talking about software, and that'll help portray the image that we're American, we're trustworthy, they're not going to close shop after we get your money. Finally, there's the perception that we're not established. And this is the one that actually has a kernel of truth in it, of course. We're still building up momentum. It's a big jump to go away from an established product to the new guy. large enterprises need to see a track record of success. Our goal is to incentivize these large enterprises with considerable cost reductions, as well as to use some local IT deals to build momentum. We have a blueprint for growth. Once we get a successful content marketing using influencers, using content, we're going to build local connections, secure early licensing deals. Once there's some money coming in, we can expand our infrastructure, improve our capacity to host cloud resources, put more redundancy into our system. From there, we'd like to create a call center, get employees, have dedicated customer service and tech team. And from there, break into the large enterprise market and really go after those large companies, many of which are using Citrix. We also would like to work with any third parties who are interested in marketing thin client technology to consumers, making those cloud-based virtual machines available for the masses. Which brings us to our next point, which is the thin client future. So Guacamole Box can connect a $35 Raspberry Pi, which is that little computer there, to a sophisticated cloud-based virtual machine that can do things that a Raspberry Pi could never do. I would go so far as to say that in the future, fiber-enabled businesses and consumers will transition away from PC ownership and on-site computer hardware to using the cloud. And they'll use thin clients, which are very simple computers that are purposed just to access the cloud, or even an embedded device, which again is a very simple computer that lacks a hard drive, or even cell phones. And they'll just plug into a very sophisticated virtual machine that is cloud-based. The advantages of this are myriad. There's less capital investment up front. There's much less risk of incurring a casualty to one's data or one's hardware, so the liability is much lower. And it creates a more efficient network. If you think about your personal computer at home, when it's sitting on your desk and you're away, it's not doing anything. It's not helping anybody. Whereas if you move all the hardware into centralized data facilities, that hardware is always helping somebody. So you can decrease overall hardware needs. You decrease electricity use, and you decrease the downstream externality of e-waste. So where we need help is networking. It's why we're here. If any of you can help us get in with local IT providers, we'd be grateful. We've marched around and did some cold approaches in some offices. As you can guess, that probably doesn't work very well, regardless of how well your computer works. We've gotten in, done a demo for some local guys, but that's about as far as we've gotten. As well as any referrals to other platforms where we can share our message, where other businesses can learn that they can save a ton of money versus our competitors, or where others can learn about the thin client future. So that's where we need help, but we're also here to pitch in. And we are here for the local startup ecosystem. Our first olive branch is we're offering free, no strings attached, no download, no login, no data tracking, no BS online video conferencing software. That's available at chat.guacamolebox.net. Hopefully we can show that off in a minute here, but you just hop on and put in your custom URL. Gone will be the days of that clunky string of random letters and numbers of Zoom. You just go on and pick where you want to meet, and then you network with whoever else wants to meet up, and then you get on the URL, and there you are. It's very easy. We can help startups. It is cheaper to host Office apps with connectivity provided by Guacamole Box versus Google Marketplace. $10 versus $12 a month. Certainly, if any startups are using anything more sophisticated, if they need any level of encryption, Guacamole Box is so cheap and accessible. Again, that minimum client license number to make a purchase with us is 1. With Citrix, it's 500. So forget Citrix if you're a startup. You're going to have to go through a gatekeeper, large IT group to even get your hands on that. And then finally, anyone who's up to the calling of the real untapped gold rush that is consumer virtual machine thin client technology, we would work with them. So that is an untapped niche that's waiting to be fulfilled. Whether it's dedicated video gaming virtual machines on the cloud, you could use something like this and have a $10,000 gaming machine on the cloud. Whether it's a virtual machine for editing video or doing engineering software, streaming, that would be feasible with a fiber-based connection and Guacamole Box. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here today. I have our website there, our social media links, and email where you can reach us. We'll see how we get far we get with some demos here. We did bring our Raspberry Pi, but I think something went awry. I don't think we have a network cable for that. But we can go ahead and launch the online demo. So next, you could just share your whole screen, and then you can go to slide 11. That'll have the link you need.
All right, cool. The screen not being shared.
No, it is. Just go ahead and click the link and see what happens. Or stop sharing or end the share. And then on the, now click it inside that. Just copy it, go to the browser.
So do you have like a target size of companies that you're going after right now? Like what's the right size fit?
Our main goal is it's really enterprise use. It's companies that have an in-house IT guy. That'd be the best way to think about it. That is the best fit. That's not to say that other companies couldn't use it or that it can't be purpose for consumer virtual machines, but our ideal fit is large enterprises.
What does that mean though?
Something like a university.
Yeah, university, hospital, Fortune 500 company. That's really what this was designed with in mind.
Right. But I'm saying like right now, if we were to go out and we look at within our network and you tell us like, hey, it needs to be 50 people or more or 100, because I can't imagine that you're going to walk into Enlo and Enlo is going to say like, hey, let's switch to it right now, right?
Right.
So
They
like,
would
help
want
me
to see some track
understand.
record of success. You know, we would have a lot to offer a place like Enlo.
Right.
Again, they need to see something more established.
Right. So what size companies do you want to look for right now?
Okay. Probably the ideal breaking point would be about 50 client licenses.
Okay.
But that's not to say we wouldn't work with someone smaller. I mean, we're at a point where we're going to take whoever we can get because we're trying to close sales. We need to get licensing money rolling in so we can build our infrastructure.
So like a couple grow tech people probably? Like,
Yeah, I'll talk to you after about the tech.
Maybe a place like Ampla.
Let's do your demo and then.
Yeah, let's hit the demo. So this is right here. There's no download, no login. Anyone can navigate to this page on either a personal computer or a cell phone. If you are accessing a network on a large business and they've blocked something called iframes, it won't work. So for example, at the hospital, you couldn't launch this, but right there, you see a remote virtual desktop. So right now we are manipulating a machine that is located on a server box across town. Why don't you go ahead and open up the Google Chrome and navigate to YouTube, and I'll show you the video streaming. So you will notice a little bit of chop. That would be totally eliminated with fiber. This can quite effortlessly do 4K on fiber-based connections. So right now, there's not fiber between us and the server. So you can play anything, probably kill the volume. And
What's the difference between rough?
so you'll see it'll be a little bit choppy, but it's not bad. And that's because they got good, business, DSL to Stobel, but it's not quite fiber. But you can see that it's quite functional. So as long as you have a good connection, the remote desktop will come to you.
Yeah.
So, again, you could have a very simple computer accessing all this and then be doing very advanced computational products. So here we're streaming. And this would work on the Raspberry Pi.
Wow.
But we're having a little hardware problem. I know we can do it on the 3B actually. So
I got both of those.
yeah. So
I was thinking,
there's a proof of concept. You guys can hop on there if you want to play around. We have some open source applications on there. We have a video editor. We've got a graphics editor. There might be a 3D models editor on there. I'd have to ask Seth, but that's all on there, and it's a proof of concept that you can do work using this. Yeah, so there you go.
Oh,
Got it on there right there.
take it down, pass it on.
Right. Yeah, you can bring it up on a phone. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's harder to click on the phone. It doesn't.
Need a stylus.
Yeah.
I know.
We can also maybe try and show some of the video chat. Definitely want to kill the volume for that so you don't get one of these, infinite loops. So if anyone else wants to, because you can do it on a cell phone too. So I'm going to kill my volume. Why don't we go to chat.guacamolebox.net and just hop onto a room called Hello.
Here you go. Yeah, keyboard, but.
All right. What's the room called?
Just call it Hello. And let's see if we can meet up in cyberspace here.
Hey, Nick. Oh.
Hey.
And there we are.
Okay, so you're there. So let's just. Can anyone else jump on there? I'm
Yeah. So I'm sorry, where do you
Also,
go?
there's.
It'll automatically tile the number of, like,
We got someone coming in.
create your own. Brady.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on this. See if anyone else can pile on there. Oops.
Let's go.
The million cups. The million cups.
Oh, I'm trying to get on there. Something's,
What's the ID again?
hello.
Hello.
So you can see the URL there. Here, I'm having a little trouble hopping on.
I'm on.
Unfortunately, this whole thing needs the internet. So
Yeah.
You guys can see each other.
Can we?
We can.
I couldn't.
If I'm on the phone, I can see.
Oh,
did you know?
something went weird on your end because I couldn't
Yeah.
connect to you, but are you guys at hello or did you do like a
Yeah, here we
capital
go.
H or?
There we go.
We do the capital H.
Oh, that might be what we did.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. It looks like our partner Walter's jumping on here.
There he is.
Hello, hey Walter.
Walter. Walter.
Okay, so Walter did make it on. That's our other partner, Walter.
Is there some way to make him visible more or?
You'd have to resize the window
Okay.
or minimize the others.
Dude, what?
We're in the capital H. huh?
Anything, Seth, what's going on with the Raspberry Pi? Is it just not booting
There's
or?
no internet.
Oh, there's no internet. So we don't have an
The
internet.
whole thing needs internet.
Yeah, so we don't have an internet connection to share the Raspberry Pi demo with you all, but
There we go, yeah.
Hey, there he is.
Case sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
hey, look at that.
Cool.
I'm trying.
Pretty cool. So you guys can see there's no login, there's no download. Everyone just sort of hopped in and went to that URL and you didn't need a super long string of numbers and letters. You were just on. The connectivity here works really well in low bandwidth environments because again, all that video traffic, everything you're seeing here isn't going through a central server. Your devices are actually sending it to each other across the internet. So Zoom is as expensive as it is because all that video traffic has to pass through a big stack of servers at their data center, their corporate headquarters, wherever they keep it.
Right.
Okay, so that's probably enough demos.
I made it.
There we go.
I forgot the
Nice.
box and then I put chat and should call. I made it. Right. I made it.
The learning curve.
I know. Even the echoing.
So turn it over to any other questions you guys might have.
Turn it off.
That's awesome.
Well, one of the, I gave a talk a couple years ago at the hacker
Later, Walter.
convention about voting systems. And they were asking how could that be done cheaply or more securely? And one of the things I suggested is Raspberry Pi for terminals with for touchscreen interfaces, if they have those. That's one of the devices they offer. And I was thinking like maybe, JavaScript to capture key presses and on-screen buttons and everything. But it sounds like you could do that with some more security. So, they have that at DEF CON, they have the voting village thing where they hack into the voting machines. And it's always like someone comes in there with like a pop top can thing, this wedge in the thing, or some girls makes it Rick roll all the devices, So it's like, it's incredibly not secure.
Yeah.
Right.
So that might be something to look at because how many voting machines are.
Yeah, I mean, there's any number of
And
government
it's
applications.
always going to be, that's an evergreen thing that they got to keep up to date. So.
I feel like in like the early 2010s, they tried something like this, especially specifically for video gaming, where it was like a little box where you could live stream any video game you wanted, no matter how insane the requirements were, but it just didn't set off. I forget what it was called. It came out in like 2010, 2011
I
era.
remember how it's the same, but I remember being able to go to a website on my phone and then access my desktop at home.
Right.
So it's something similar to that, but that was a long time ago. but I'm sure yours is more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a, well, it's not that hard to get your mitts on a remote desktop provider. It's different to get a remote virtual desktop provider. Therein lies the distinction. There's any number of competitors that actually can work very well, but it's a one-to-one connection. It's like I'm getting onto my home PC.
Exactly.
It's not, I'm forming this encrypted tunnel connection to a special microenvironment in a server. So that's where it gets very specialized. Yeah.
So in comparison to Zoom, like, does it have the same features? Like for conference and webinar and all that kind of stuff? Is that, I'm trying to
It
understand.
has some of them. It doesn't have all of the features of Zoom. It doesn't, the most important things are there though. It's screen sharing, it's seeing everybody, if we can get that side of things to take off, it's not our main focus, but it's almost more of a side project that was fortuitously born out of Guacamole Box. But if that took off, we'd probably put more, R&D into it, but it can do the main things that Zoom can do. It can get a bunch of people on there and you can stream it with open broadcast software, OBS. At a certain point, you might build that in. And so you can have, 1,000 people following it.
Google Meet-ish. Rather than Zoom.
I actually haven't used Google Meet much, so.
Teams? Yeah.
Teams. Yeah, that-
Don't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Anytime I start my regular computer, I'm just a huge thing.
So I pay like $50 a month for Adobe Suite, so
Uh-huh.
Premiere Pro and Photoshop and all that kind of. So what would that run if you're kind of making that more affordable?
I don't think we're going to make the software itself more affordable. What it is that if you don't have a nice computer at home that can handle those programs, then you could tunnel to a virtual machine that can.
Okay.
So that's where we'd save you money
Right.
and it'd be
Sure.
on the PC side.
Hardware side.
Mhm.
And the storage, I actually be able to store the video
Yes.
and stuff.
Internal
That's a great-
backups is the other thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people do have a computer that can, I can get on Photoshop, or I can edit a quick video, but if you're working on, anybody that's worked on a project, I'll tell you, it's
Feature
not,
film.
it goes a lot further past your.
But
machine.
that's all, it's really hot.
Oh, yeah. It's brutal. And yeah, you need hard drives and backups and you need formula, systems laid out to make sure that you don't delete things. And all that stuff is, instead of having to drop thousands of dollars at, computer store or at Amazon, all of that stuff is somewhere else. It's not you and a computer and 16 wires running the things underneath your table at the coffee shop. It's just your laptop editing a video.
100 scenes, multiple takes, and trying to keep track of all.
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
So you're on social media, but you haven't quite gotten there, like as far as I just got popped on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So the engagement's low. I mean, I'm putting up posts and it is not a lot of attention. It takes a while to get traction. I think our real entry point is going to be when our tech influencer releases a video reviewing the product.
Sure.
Yeah, how's that process?
It's going well. I don't want to say too much about it until it's, reality, but everything seems to be on track. And that should be coming out soon. Yeah.
Do you think YouTube's gonna be a better platform for you?
Well, we are going to be using that. I think the videos are essential. I think, we have good website traffic. We're actually getting 500 to 700 unique visitors a day. A much smaller proportion that find their way into the demo. It's hard to know, how many of them were actually looking for avocado toast, but
Right.
certainly.
I found it. I got it. I found it.
Right, yeah.
I need a box for my avocados.
Right, yeah.
It does happen.
All the time.
We are first on Bing and DuckDuckGo. I don't know why Google's burying us. If you do Guacamole Box software, we're right up there at #1. So I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. But so we're getting a lot of traffic. I think there are businesses who are watching us. And I think they're waiting for someone else to bite first, someone else to get on there and then put up a video saying, hey, this actually works. Because it is a bit of a leap of faith. It's like these guys are promising so much and are so new. How can this possibly be real? And again, that's the perception we're coming up against. So we are filming a series of tutorials as well as use cases. And we do have a YouTube where we'll be putting that up. And that way people can see, hi, we're real, we're a domestic company. We're in this to win this. We're not going to take your money and run. This is real. We want to build a big company here. So, yeah, YouTube's definitely in the cards.
So if someone that joins the room has Wi-Fi, does that matter when they get kicked off the call, or does it matter? They just need that one connection.
Yeah, I was thinking, because we were talking with the lady from Guana, that we had 1 million cups last month. Do you remember
What was it?
the lady from Ghana?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Power
So-
moms try.
Well,
Yeah.
so I guess my question is, will anyone get kicked off if your
Yeah.
Wi-Fi connection isn't great?
It'll just get very grainy.
Okay.
For our business meetings, Seth, for example, he's out in the orchard. It's very poor connectivity. So what'll happen is, at times Walter and I will be clear and, Seth will be there, like connection won't drop, but first goes the video, then goes the voice. There'll be times where, Seth might be moving 2 frames a second, but his voice is coming through clear. So it sort of breaks, it drops the right things in the right order.
Compared to Hangouts and Zoom, it actually scales much better.
Nice.
So with Zoom and Hangouts, if you start with a bad connection, it'll be all right because it knows that. It starts the call thinking like, okay, you're, definitely on, not top tier connectivity here. So it's the resolution very low. Guacamole box actually scales about every 10 seconds. So, using my place purely as a use case, in storms and things, when it's calm, it comes through just fine. Lightning, wind, all the other things that internet doesn't particularly like. Within about 5 seconds, the screen will scale. So yeah, it'll maintain the audio quality at all costs, and it'll pop back inevitably.
Okay, what's your sales strategy?
So, wait, help me understand, how we're licensing it, like the actual pricing
No,
or
just how
like
you're
the
gonna,
marketing?
sell this to businesses that you're talking about.
Right. So again, our initial approach that we're pursuing is content-based marketing. So it's creating blogs about the company and the software, it's producing videos, explaining how it works, showing the product in action, maintaining a social media presence, and then using tech influencers to bring traffic in. So people who in their audience, they have, chief technology officers from companies. And from there, getting a digital platform where a great number of people can come across the product. In order to build up momentum though, and to establish a track record of success, we're trying to hopefully close some local IT deals. And again, I went around and did cold
So you're
approaches.
cold approaching,
Yeah.
okay.
And, I walk in there and say, hey, we're a new remote virtual desktop provider. And,
Yeah.
people are busy, it's really hard to get an audience doing that. So we haven't had a lot of success doing that. So we're, at least on a local level, we're hoping to do more of a target approach, coming to places like 1 Million Cups, going to places where you can get an audience saying, hello, can you even help us? Do you know somebody at an IT group? Can you just tell them that all we need is half an hour to explain this and show them how this works?
I highly suggest doing Sacramento.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And
that.
work
Take
1
over
million
that.
cups program. You can do any city.
Yeah.
As long as they.
Sacramento's close enough.
Apply, yeah.
You just
Yeah.
apply, but I definitely suggest that. I saw that you also had Business Expo up there.
Yeah, if there's anything like that, I heard there was something coming up in September. I haven't looked into that greatly, but was it October?
You mean our Grow Tech Festival?
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Our Grow Tech Festival? No. Yeah, and I want to talk to you about that.
Sure.
After,
I'd love to hear about it.
but, the trade show industry is coming back. It's 2020. I think you should definitely look into, it's very expensive, obviously, for trade shows. You really need to pinpoint the ones that you really think would be valuable to you. Maybe just start in the Bay Area. That's what I would do.
Yeah, platform the Bay Area would be
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah. A lot of the big ones it's gonna cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to do, but you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? So I would pre-plan for 2023 and start looking into that. I think that'd be really helpful.
Yeah, that in mind. I do want to hear more about that Grow Tech.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I know a guy in IT networking and business. He actually started his own business. I'm not sure exactly what he does, but I think you should connect with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find his email. But yeah,
Someone mentioned Ampla Health or something that might be more realistic.
Yeah, we haven't cold called them yet, but yeah, it's on the list.
Nice.
Or Mangrove Medical Group, which is, you know, if you're looking.
Well, how about like dentists, like Dentrix?
You know, we went to Paradigm IT and they do a lot of IT for dentists and we did a demo for them. I haven't heard back from them. You know, once we get our influencer video, we were going to reach back out.
Because there's so many dentists.
Yeah.
And Chico, they probably all use different IT guys or whatever.
Right. It's hard to go.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know, we were really targeting IT because
I get it.
it's complex, right?
Yeah.
It's a very complicated product. It's,
Yeah.
you know, 30 seconds really, you're barely scratching the surface of what a remote virtual desktop provider is.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've definitely considered the strategy of going to people who are using remote virtual desktop providers and
Right.
leaning on them to tell their IT guys, hey, get us this. But they may not have everything they need to explain to the IT guys why they need it beyond
Yeah, it needs to get the way around.
80% cost savings. Now that's where your chief financial officer can say something to IT. You need to look at this just for the cost savings. But beyond that, I don't really have a message for, you know, these other users. Really the message is for IT. We can make your life easier, more secure. The network's easier to maintain. You can save on IT costs. You can save your customers a ton of money. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh my God, you need to get an avocado suit now. 100%.
For trade show.
That's great.
Yes,
Some
yes, you can
wheels.
have a avocado
Nice.
there. When you're talking to these people, what aspect of, what are they most interested in?
Mm.
Like what part?
Mhm. You know,
Curious, have you been
the
tracking that to
biggest-
see like?
the biggest wow factor is, you know, definitely the thin client stuff, you know, embedded device that really turns heads and that there's no installation on the computers. I think or on the client side, I think
Yeah.
IT guys like that because they imagine they don't have to run around every single
Right.
computer,
Right,
you know, and that
true.
it's web-based, so anybody's phone or computer could just hop on and, you know, two-factor authentication is readily implemented, so you can just, anybody from anywhere can just get onto the network.
Speaking from a sales standpoint, like that would be, you know, really important if they're traveling around the country and that kind of thing and wherever they
So
are.
like
You know what I mean?
Computer World Magazine or things like that. Or
Yeah, you know,
Or
it's,
whatever
it's,
that may- I
we're
don't know.
hoping to close a little bit of licensing before we plunge
Yeah.
money into, you know, advertising. It's very expensive and you have to reach IT guys. So it's like one slice of the computer world. So I think our best bet's can be these tech influencers, and that doesn't work out, we'll double back and we'll look at other strategies. But,
Right.
and again, you know, the other piece is we need local referrals. So, you know, advertising may not be the best way to do that. It's more leveraging our connections.
Are you looking at other types of investment? VC or
oh, like-
angel or anything like that?
No,
You have one.
unless it became a necessity.
Okay.
we'll call Mr. Wonderful for you.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Yeah.
He'll tell you to go to
have
Comdex.
to.
Oh, wait, they don't exist.
You know, I think once this thing gets rolling, it's going to sell itself. So, you know, we want to at least give that an opportunity to happen before we give away a chunk of the company.
Great.
Okay.
Well, I think we're just about at that time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, let's go ahead and wrap on up.
Great job explaining everything.
Oh,
It's really, really from the get-go.
Yeah.
The whole box and everything.
Right.
Complicated.
Yeah, no, that was great.
All right. I would like to thank Robert for showing us Guacamole Box. That was awesome. I would also like to thank Eva Shepherd for hosting this event for us. And me, Nick Stamper. Second, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Morgan Stanley, Chico Start, Growtech, Global Entrepreneurship Network, T-Bar, Build.com, Startup Grind, and Explore Butte County for supporting 1 Million Cups. As far as events we have coming up.
Stovall. You
And
forgot
Stovall.
Stovall, man.
Of course, Stovall.
Other avocado toast.
And they wrote
Yeah,
my
where would we
comment.
be?
How was it?
Oh, I've ordered it.
All right. As far as upcoming events, right now, Growtech Fest Green Week is in full effect. So tickets are half off through Labor Day, September 9th,
It's actually the 5th.
the 5th. All right, September 5th, my bad.
Monday.
All right. And then also Johnny Appleseed Days 2022 is October 2nd, the Paradise Ridge Chamber of Commerce. They invite you for your partnership in hosting California's oldest harvest festival, as well as the Alchemist Micro Enterprise Academy application, which is actually due August 21st, but the event is from September 13th through December 7th. Next week, we will have Maxwell Fitzpatrick sharing their business Kavari, the world's first fully distributed on-chain video streaming network of truly your own content via NFTs. Share freely without fear and earn crypto with your very first like in a 100% ad-free environment. And lastly, I would like to thank the audience for showing up today for 1 Million Cups and efforts. I would like for everyone to leave on this note. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, and we acknowledge barriers you might face in starting and growing your own business. Our 1 Million Cups community is fueled by passionate entrepreneurs who are looking to support and learn from people just like you. On behalf of our organizing team, we invite you to join us every Wednesday morning and let us know if you'd like to get more involved. Keep building and keep growing. Thank you.
Next
Now
week's in person.
Now it's overtime. That's how
He's
they.
coming next. Is he coming in person next week? Or-
I believe they're zooming in.
Okay. Drop by.